Welcome to the Sales Whisper Podcast, Session 40. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, let me warn you that this one is quite different. If you are a regular listener, you can tell already by the opening this one is different. Today is February 4th, 2014, and I want to talk about something pretty heavy, and it pertains to the death this weekend of Philip Seymour. Individual. You might know him from the Hunger Games and other things. But it's ironic that 4 years ago, almost to the day, I wrote a blog post called Why Do Celebrities Do Drugs and Why Do Rookie Salespeople Need Hugs? And rather than doing my normal intro, little music and little quip and what have you, I just wanted to hit this while it's fresh on my mind. As I'm preparing for this, I'm looking online and seeing this long, sad list of stars that have died of overdose from drugs. So this Philip Seymour Hoffman is obviously the most recent one from this weekend. But Corey Monteith, the guy from Glee, of course, Janis Joplin, River Phoenix, Kurt Cobain, the list goes on, right? Anna Nicole Smith, Jim Belushi, just on and on and on. Or John Belushi, I'm sorry. And it's like, why does this happen? And how does this relate to sales? It relates because the reason we do anything destructive like that, whether it's drugs and alcohol, whether it's pornography, whether it's, obsessed with sports teams or betting or whatever, we're doing it to fill a void. For some reason, there's a gap, there's a hole, there's some emptiness inside of us. And rather than face it head on and deal with it and either overcome it or at least contain it, we turn to drugs, alcohol, even things like pornography and betting and doing crazy things. It creates endorphins, the adrenaline, that rush, that high. That basically is a drug addiction. You're doing the activity to create the feeling. So, why is that? And, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. But I'm a student of life. I'm a father of almost 7. I see this going on with my kids. I've coached teams. I've played on teams at the collegiate level. I have been in business since, full-time since 97. And I just see on and on, it repeats itself, this self-destructive behavior that I see in business. I see with salespeople. I've experienced that type of self-doubt, and rather than either facing the difficulties, we numb ourselves to the pain that whatever we're doing is causing, right? Rather than figuring out how to treat it. I think these celebrities, sports athletes, we just saw the Super Bowl, how people go nuts. They paint their bodies. They skip work for days. They pay thousands of dollars for these tickets. They worship these athletes. They literally stalk them. We see it with movie stars. We see it, at concerts. But all of these people, celebrities, movie stars, athletes, they're just like you and me. They wake up in the morning with bad breath, messy hair, and they got to go pee. But then they see all these people worshiping them, and they're like, what the hell is going on? And the pressure to not let everyone down is huge. I saw it, 20 plus years ago playing football in college at a very small level. And I know friends that have been on the big stage playing for teams like USC, playing for teams like TCU, playing in bowl games. The pressure is immense, and it's gotten exponentially so in the last 20 plus years. What we need to do is a few things. One, stop worshiping these celebrities and these athletes. Okay, they're just people. They do something entertaining. There's cameras around, but behind the scenes, what it takes to make it to the big stage, in football, in movies, what have you, is a lot of dirty, grinding work. And they always hide, the unglamorous side of things. We just see the finished product, all mic'd up and ready to go. But they have to work just like all of us. They just get paid more Okay, and that's where I think their feelings of self-doubt and lack of self-worth come in. They're making tens of millions of dollars. Some of these guys, they're worth $100 million plus. And they're looking around saying, this is a big charade. I mean, they literally feel like the emperor has no clothes. They literally feel like this could come down at any moment. If people knew what a screwed up SOB I am, they wouldn't worship me. They wouldn't buy tickets to my movies. They wouldn't stand outside my home trying to get pictures of me and interview me, because they're just people. So we have to stop worshiping these people. We have to stop comparing ourselves to some dude or some woman, that 12 months ago, 24 months ago, 3 years ago was literally waiting tables somewhere trying to get a gig. And now they're on the big screen, so we want their autograph. And we literally are worshiping them. They are just people, okay? And the work you do is just as important. And you can become just as famous if you want it to be, right? You can certainly become just as influential, or certainly you can become a celebrity in your own niche, in your own industry. You can be that big fish in the small pond and have a voice and move markets, even if it's a small market, right? You can have an input and an impact on your industry. You can join local trade associations. You can create an association and have members join that you approve. If you want to, you can make a podcast just like this. It costs next to nothing. You can make videos on YouTube. If you've got a smartphone, boom, post it right up to YouTube, share it on social media for free. But you've got to be willing to take a stand and get your voice out there. And you may mess up in the beginning, but you know what? All these actors, why do we love waiting around after the movies to see all the bloopers, right? A lot of people say it's the best part of a movie. These people make mistakes over and over and over. Take 2, take 10, take 22, before they get it right. You'll see them flub their lines. So they do it all over and over and over again. They'll do it in front of a huge crew. There may be 10, 20, 100 people on a set, more even. They do these big fight scenes or whatever. There could be hundreds of people. They're extras, okay? But they're all waiting for that actor to get that one line right, and they're flubbing it. And you feel bad because you said something wrong on a phone call or on a prospecting call or during a webinar, or a slide didn't work right, and you want to shoot yourself. Give me a break. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly until you get it right. Okay, so let's make something good out of this bad news over the weekend of this drug overdose. All right, turn this tragedy into motivation to you to face and overcome any addictions you have, and then turn that newfound energy and that newfound strength into making an impact in your own life and the lives of those around you. Okay? Build your business to be as strong and as powerful and as resilient and as profitable as it can be. Because then when you're not stressed out about work and you're not stressed out about money, you can focus on helping others. You can donate your time. You can donate your time, your efforts, your skills, your money to your church, to a charitable organization. You can buy more turkeys at Thanksgiving for the homeless. You can support wounded warriors. You can do things like that because you freed yourselves from the restraints of business because you hit it hard. Okay? That's why you're struggling. Because of lack of focus, lack of determination, lack of commitment, you feel unworthy. You're comparing yourselves to those you should not compare yourself to. You're comparing yourself to people that really are not worthy of your praise and adulation. So maybe what you need to do is just turn the TV off for a while. Stop looking at these idiots like Justin Bieber getting arrested and, doing drugs and drinking, and, the dude's not even 21, renting Lamborghinis and racing. It's like, give me a break. Stop looking at kids like this. Stop looking at these people. Go build your own business. And with that free time, spend that time on your family. Spend that time with your friends, doing cool things like just hanging out and chatting, having a meal together. When was the last time you just called someone out of the blue and said hello? Make those types of efforts. Because I always like to say, what's old is new. You saw on a Super Bowl at Bruno Mars. I mean, he was wearing clothes like the Temptations wore, 30, 40 years ago. If you follow fashion at all, I mean, good grief. My wife bought me bell-bottom jeans. Talk about going back 30 and 40 years. So literally, what's old is new. It all comes around. Okay? So take a moment to send a handwritten note, a card to somebody. Call them rather than texting them or Twittering them. Let them know that they are special in your life and see how that comes back in a multiplied manner. Okay? When it comes to selling, make sure that you've set appropriate goals. And if you're in sales management, I've always said, and I learned this from Steve Clark, you manage activity and you pay on results. If you're a sales manager, I would say, slap your own wrist if you are just throwing out numerical quotas to your people and just telling them to go get it. You need to give them literally daily and even hourly activities that will get them to their goal. All right? You have that number in mind, but there's got to be realistic, measurable tasks that they can do and need to be doing every hour, every day, every week. Okay? From making outbound calls, to sending emails, to attending networking functions, trade shows, conducting their own webinars, or sending out invitations to webinars or teleconferences. When you manage activity, the results will come. All right. So it's just like, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 60 days, that's a fine goal. But the way you do it is by plotting your calories, measuring every single meal, and then measuring your physical activity, both cardio and weightlifting, so that you are burning more calories than you consume, that you're building muscle, which increases your metabolism. And by focusing on every single meal every single day, you'll hit that weight loss goal. It's not enough just to have a goal. That's why I say manage activity, manage the meals and the exercises, and then you pay on results. The weight loss will come. So the same thing, if your people are making enough prospecting efforts and touches, right? They're making outbound calls, or they're making follow-up calls. They are reaching decision makers. They are saying the right things. They are setting appointments with people that can and will buy. They are then creating contracts or proposals with those. They're doing the right negotiation, all right? If they follow the little things up front, the sale will happen. We cannot control whether somebody buys or not, but we can control whether we pick up the phone to set that appointment. Okay? So when you have the proper expectations, your people will feel good about themselves. They'll have that spring in their step, and that's the intangible that your prospect recognizes. Okay, Zig Ziglar always says selling is the transference of a feeling, and that feeling is confidence. That confidence just oozes out. When your people know they're doing the right things and they're saying the right things to the right people and they're making the right offer, that confidence will be transferred and the sale will just happen. Okay, but we cannot control whether somebody reaches in their back pocket and pulls out their credit card. But we can control whether or not we put ourselves in position to ask for the order, to create that buying environment. Okay, and so when your people know that they're doing the right things and they have your support, then they won't need hugs. They won't need to do drugs because they won't have that nagging feeling underneath the surface, right? Telling them that something's wrong, but they don't know what it is. Because when you, as the manager, just tell your people, your quota is $100,000, your quota is $1 million, go get them. They don't know what to do. And it's that indecision that gets us in trouble in anything. You look at tennis, I'm not sure, do I want to hit this hard overhand? Do I want to hit a lob? And they hit it into the net. I'm a big golfer. Every time I get in trouble with a swing, it's because I was indecisive. I didn't know if I wanted to try to draw it, or if I wanted to try to cut it, or maybe I was between clubs. Should I go down a club and hit harder? Should I go up a club? grip down on it, swing easier. It's that indecision, and you make this terrible shot. So it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in life. When you are not sure where you're going, you're just floundering, right? The wind and the waves are just taking you wherever. You feel like all is worthless and hopeless. So it's like, what the hell? Why should I even try? Let me have a drink, right? Let me shoot up. And that's when bad things happen. So this is my little effort to help something good come out of this bad overdose over the weekend of another celebrity in his prime. You know what? Life is not that serious. Have a little fun. All right. None of us are going to get out of here alive. You owe it to yourself, to your family, to God to do everything you can with the talents that you have. So again, like I said, if this is your first podcast, I was thinking about apologizing, but it's like, I'm not going to apologize. This message needs to get out. You need to hear it. But it is different. My others are much more upbeat. But you know what? Every now and then, the truth's got to be said. So, hey, here it is. I hope this resonated with you. If you know somebody in your life that needs to hear this message, send them the link to this podcast. I've dealt with a lot of addictions in my life. My wife and I moved here in 2004 in December. And on my birthday in April, my brother-in-law came over, drunker than Cooter Brown. And we knew he had a drinking problem, but it was just so obvious. My cousin ended up taking him that night to rehab. And, none of us had a lot of money back then. And, I helped pay for it. My wife was worried about it. And, I said, look, we would feel a lot worse 6 months or a year from now if we didn't pay the money for the rehab, but we were paying money for a funeral, so spend the money on the rehab. All right. So I've had multiple cousins go through this, my grandmother, we've had aunts and uncles, so we are all touched in some way by somebody with some type of addiction that is impacting all of us. There's a reason for it. I don't know why it happens to us or to them, but God has a reason. You know what? We just keep moving forward. I always say, if you're going through hell, don't stop. Okay? So it applies your personal life, your business life. I've had some big losses. I remember I was 22 years old, did not have the money, invested 10 grand in this harebrained venture, lost it all. Lost money again in another similar harebrained venture. Lost money in real estate. I lost money invested in property with a former friend and sales manager that ran off with $50,000 and then stuck me with an $81,000 IRS bill because he ran off with the profits and changed the percentage of ownership in the company. So I had a bigger share on paper than what I owned. And he said, yeah, we had a little change in the business and, we got audited. And so you're going to see the tax return get changed. Yeah. I remember Heather Boone, IRS agent from Texarkana, Texas, says, yeah, you have a bill of $81,000. And that, believe it or not, ended up okay. That's a message for another story. So, I just tell you this because we all get kicked in the teeth from time to time. It's life, right? It's business. If you're in the arena making things happen, you're going to get bloodied. So that's why you surround yourself with people that love you. That's why you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, people that are better than you in certain areas that you need to improve on. So you are always improving. Okay, if you're the smartest one in the room, something's wrong. You cannot grow that way. So, like I said, take this message, do with it what you will. If it hurt, I'm glad, right? I've got kids. I remember my 3-year-old had a appendectomy. She had to get shots, had to do things. They had to draw blood, and she would scream, "Don't poke me!" And I would literally have to lay on her and hold her down because it had to be done. It was for her own good. We don't always understand the pain that we're going through, but there's a reason for it. All right. look inward, do your best to understand why the pain is there, learn from it, grow from it. I'm not saying stay in the pain, but I'm saying don't numb the pain artificially, okay? Because we have those pain receptors, whether it's physical or emotional, for a reason. Understand what they mean, understand what's creating them, and then address the true cause. Don't just mask the symptoms, okay? And if you do that, no matter what, in sports, in life, in business, in relationships, in your faith, you'll get better and you'll reach your goals. Okay. And at the end of the day, that's my goal here, is to help you reach your goals. Obviously, this is called the Sales Podcast, but it's all about life. It's all, no one's an island. We don't live on an island. We talk about work-life balance. It all overlaps. So, like I said, I hope this helped. If you want to hear something different, a little lighter, upbeat message, just go back one session, listen to Major Mom. Next couple of podcasts, those are going to be great as well. I've already got them recorded. I'll be releasing those in the next few days. But again, share this message with somebody that needs it, and go out and make a difference in your own life and the life of someone that you love, even if you don't even know who they are yet. It's good selling and good living.